You treat your friends like fucking family. Thank you, this is hardcore. Thank you, Joe. Friends, chilling forever. Our last one. Let's do this shit. Section hate, down pressure. Fucking will, remain the day. Will I find a way? Fucking will, really fucking fine. Fucking will, there's on your heart. Fucking will, feel deep inside. Don't work too hard. I'll get your left. Whoa. Shit.
Boy, am I glad to see you. What's happening, everybody? This is the New York Hardcore Chronicles live. It's been a week. Feels like it's been a month, right? But one thing I could say about taking a week in between shows gives me really a chance to do a lot of homework. And I'm really excited about today's show. We have a great guest coming on. So there you go. What's up, Big Tony? Good to see you. What's happening, Victoria? My man. There he is. Gajewski. My man. All right. Is that right? One of the best live bands I've ever seen. I tell you what, after doing my homework this week, I'm really looking forward to seeing them play live again. You know? What else going on here? Let's see. RS, what's up, brother? Paulie Pork Chops, good. Lori Dawn, the gang's all. Yo, Steen in Denmark. I was just thinking about you, brother, and glad you swung by here again. You know, hey, wow, the gang. Talk about the gang's all here, straight out of Tel Aviv. Ori Frank from Eternal Struggle. Come on now, that's cool, man. Good. What's up, Larry the Hunter? Happy Lunar New Year. Is that right? Is it the Lunar New Year? Wow, all the yids are coming out. Or both Oris from Eternal Struggle. All right. Come on. Breaking out. Fuck them. Straight out of Jerusalem. What's up? Good. Love you guys. Astoria Lou in the house. Good. Good, good. Chinese New Year. Okay. What is it? The year? What's it? The year or what? It's the year of what? You know, I bet this guy knows. It's the year of what?
What animal you mean? Like the year of the... I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. That's a good question.
It's the year of the pig. Oh, it's the year of the rabbit. It's the year of the rabbit. Rabbit.
The year of the cat.
Does that mean people are going to be doing a lot of humping this year? It's like, it's the year of the rabbit. Go hump a duck. What's going on with you, bro?
Not too much.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
What's going
know,
on with you?
long night. I saw 9 bands yesterday.
9 bands? Would you go to a fest?
Yeah, my head's a little fried.
Well, here, let's do photo of the day and let's talk about it, right? There you go. That said, what do we got here? Well, obviously you were at Amityville Music Hall, you know?
Yes, that is correct.
Yeah.
No hiding that.
I recognize this guy because he was a guest on the show, right?
That's correct. That's correct.
Okay.
Definitely.
Well, let's go straight right to it. Does anybody know what this is? That's a good shot, actually. That's a good shot. Anybody? Does anybody know this band? And being that this guy's in like 10 bands,
Yeah,
it could be one of like 10 answers, right?
And he's in multiple bands doing multiple things too. He's not just singing.
Right. Yeah. There you go. Anybody? Does anybody know what this is? Is it a young Billy Milano? Yeah. Is it a rabbit? Is it a rabbit? There you go. Here's another one. Is it? It's close, right? Neil Fallon and Zappa?
Yeah, he's got a little Neil Fallon to him for sure. His look.
Well, I know he loves Zappa because we talked about him on. Is it Satan? No, that is not Satan. Paul Di'Anno.
Paul Di'Anno can't even stand up anymore.
My friend Kyle went to that show. Can't think of the band's name. Huh, all right. Well, fucking call Kyle. Yo, Kyle, what was that band? All right. Why don't you tell us? Wait, I think that was the last one. Tell us what
Yeah,
was
I think
that?
I sent you 3. So
Yeah, go ahead.
well, that is a band called Rule Them All.
Right.
Who, we have had on the show. John Gussman is his name, and it was an unusual day. They actually had two different full shows. This is the first of 2 shows yesterday at the Amityville Music Hall. This was a benefit. Apparently, a friend of the club, a friend of the scene, I think his house burnt down.
Damn.
And they had a benefit, and it was a fantastic turnout. I mean, you couldn't even move. The thing that makes me laugh about this flyer is Family Dinner is not a band. And
Family Dinner's not a band?
It lists it as Rule Them All Family Dinner. There was a table set up with food and cookies and things. Rule Them All played. The Fight played. Hangman.
Where the fuck is Family Dinner, man? We're supposed to. They're on after us.
Sanction didn't play. A band called Separated played instead.
Okay, let's get this straight. Family Dinner's not a band, and Sanction's not playing.
Correct.
Yo, you know what? Maybe I need to add that to our list of bands.
Family Dinner.
Yo, we're Family Dinner.
I gotta tell you, man.
Or Family Dinner is my next band name. Fuck you, we're Family Dinner. I could picture the cover of the record already. It would be like some family sitting eating dinner like in the 50s. Hold on.
That's funny.
Let me look it up. Holy, let's see.
This interesting thing, Long Island has a very, very fertile scene. And this band, Koyo, I've never seen before, absolutely packed the place. I didn't want to show pictures from all the bands because I want to be able to spread them out on other shows and stuff. And this band packed the place. And I couldn't believe how crowded it got when they went on. Hangman, always good. Their crowd is always really rough, and those kids dance hard,
Mm-hmm.
And it was a fun show. And Rule Them All are great. In fact, John used to play drums in The Fight as well.
Right.
But now
he's not. You know what? All that's fine, but fuck you, we're Family Dinner. What's up?
That's a great shot.
We came to crush.
But
we came to smush. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was the early show, and then this was the late show, right?
Yes, and then with like a 40-minute break in between, we returned to the Amityville Music Hall, and this is a killer show too. It was the first show for a band called the Give Ups,
mm-hmm.
which featured the original guitar player from Tension, and they were a lot of fun. And of course, our friends in the Car Bomb Parade absolutely squashed the place. And the Rev in top form, just like screaming into the crowd, like it was fantastic. The Welch Boys,
yeah,
featuring former Slapshot guitar player who's actually the singer in this band, which I just learned a few minutes ago, and they were great. And of course, our friends, the Ice Cold Killers, which was good to see them again.
Yeah, I haven't seen them in a minute.
So, and really, you know what? It's just a fun. It's a loud room, though, man. If you ever played the Amityville Music Hall,
yeah,
it's like an airplane landing.
I don't know how you spent so much time in there. I would have had a nervous breakdown, bro.
Yeah,
I go to that place and I like inside, outside, the front of the club, inside, outside, and then I'm like ready to go home, bro. Like within 15 minutes, I'm like, let's.
You know what it is when I'm shooting? It's all about just keeping a position because some of the kids are a little overzealous with the swinging arms near the camera, and you got to kind of grab an arm every now and then and replace it for them, and just
listen. All that's fine and dandy, but
family dinner.
We're fucking Family Dinner, bro.
Well, just think of the flyers. You could invite people to family dinner.
Al Burrell had a good one. That's the name of the record. Let's eat. Yep.
Al, they were singing your praises yesterday. Some of the Welsh Boys, by the way.
I love that. Shabbat dinner has the sickest pit. Absolutely. All right, good. Okay.
Well, actually, wasn't there a band? Actually, I believe Motley Crue originally wanted to call themselves Christmas.
Is that right?
And they changed it. They decided against it. Like if you can go that route.
Ori Cohn asked, why is he eating with a suit on? That's how we do it here in America, bro. I put a suit on when I'm going to eat.
Dress to impress.
It's either that or like, what's his name from The Godfather with Sonny Corleone.
With the suspenders, yeah.
That was great. All right, man.
All right then.
Are you gonna hang around a little bit?
Yeah,
We're gonna
I
show
got
some of
this
your
guy
pictures.
here. We're gonna
today.
hang around and watch.
Damn that, your cat looks like he's chewing his arm off, bro.
He is. You see the arms? He's got anxiety issues.
Dude.
Daryl, smile at the camera, will you?
Man, dude, every show he looks worse, bro.
Well, he's actually better than he's been in a while, so
You got to let him out of the basement once in a while.
I figure once he's all done, I'm going to give him 2 full sleeves. I'm going to get him all tatted up.
Damn, poor Daryl, bro.
He's doing the best he can.
All right, I'll talk to you in a bit.
You got it.
All right, later. Well, there you go. Hardcore Shutterbug. That's right. This is the New York Hardcore Chronicles Live, and we are sponsored by New York Hardcore Comics, The Organic Grill, the Texas Silver Rush, Generation Records, 126 Hardcore Clothing, Upstate Records, and DTFM Vinyl Distro. Looking for extreme music? DTFM has got you. Located on 13th Ave in the crown of the Midwest, Fargo, North Dakota. We have the state's best selection of punk, hardcore, metal, ska, oi, and more. Can't make it in? Shop online from anywhere in the great US of A, or you would think anywhere in the world, at www.dtfmvinyldistro.com. DTFM Vinyl, where the policy still is and always will be death to false metal. Come on now, the Texas Silver Rush. It's a jewelry design firm and boutique store located in the birthplace of the Texas country music scene in Fredericksburg, Texas. They specialize in working with musicians in all music genres to design and create unique one-off pieces, as well as to style them for stage, album covers, promo photos, and social media exposure. Their client list includes Rock and Roll Hall of Famers Greg Ridley, Ringo Starr, and of course, Agnostic Front. As a matter of fact, this piece around my neck is a Texas Silver Rush piece, this Agnostic Front piece. Information online sales are being taken at their Facebook and Instagram pages, and of course, www.thetexassilverrush.com. That said, let's make sure No, I'm not sponsored by Family Dinner, not yet at least. That said, let's clear the deck. Everybody seems to be okay. Let's bring our guest on. Let's clear the deck. What the heck on this shout out Sunday? How about those Giants yesterday, huh? Damn. They didn't even get off the launch pad. They got molested. New York Giants that was like straight up molestation. God damn. Whew. Whew. Damn. Ouch. Whew. Anyway, on a lighter note, here we go. Today's guest is an American vocalist and songwriter hailing from the Bay State of Massachusetts. For over 20 years, 11 releases, and numerous tours, he is known for his work with one of the prominent beatdown bands of our time, Death Before Dishonor. Please welcome, coming at us from Quincy, Mass., Mr. Bryan Harris. Hey, man.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm great, thanks. Thanks for having me.
How's things in Quincy?
It's cold. Got a little rain, snow. It's good though.
I remember, man, when I was up in Boston, it was cold. Boston has some cold winters, man.
We're right by the water. I mean, you guys are too, but it gets real cold.
Yeah, I remember it being brutal up there, man.
For sure. Can I interject on your intro? So I guess people label us a beatdown band at times, and I don't really support that. We're just a heavy hardcore band, so I figure I'd just throw that out there.
I could see that. You know,
I think like when we first started, we kind of got lumped into something. I'm not knocking beatdown or anything like that. I just consider ourselves just a hardcore band.
Yeah, I mean, in doing research and Wikipedia and looking it up, it just keeps coming up again and again, like associated with the band. And it's funny because in my notes, I wanted to ask you about that. Like, how do you feel saddled with that? Like we're a beatdown, like, I
mean, like, I don't know. I guess I see where it comes from. Obviously, like if you listen to our older releases, they're a little more heavier, breakdown after breakdown. Maybe, I don't know. Yeah. I think between that and just certain things, we kind of always got, not always, but we used to get categorized in that, and people like I said, I know there's like a quote unquote beatdown scene. I'm not knocking it at all, but
Yeah.
I just think because there's plenty of our songs that are more punk leading than they are quote unquote beatdown. So yeah, I don't know. We're just a heavy hardcore band, man.
Yeah.
At times, fast hardcore band.
Yeah. What's the latest? I mean, before we sort of delve into the past,
Sure.
what's going on? Like coming, I mean, I know the pandemic's pretty much is in the past. What's in the immediate future for DBD?
So we just re-released. Fast Break Records just put out our first full length with our first demo attached to it called True to Death. It was like the 20-year anniversary. Last year was technically 20 years, but we couldn't get it out in time. So they just we remastered it, redid the artwork. It was never on vinyl. It wasn't on like Spotify and all that stuff. So that just came out this past Friday. So kind of cool that that's out.
And that's on Fast Break?
That's on Fast Break, yeah.
Tony Palmisano says, just got all 5. I guess there's
awesome. Thank you.
I guess there's 5. Is there 5?
Yeah, there's different variants and stuff like that. You know how it is. There's all different colors and stuff like that.
Big Tony Palmisano is a maniac when it comes to this shit.
I love it.
It's like if you would have done 30, he would have got all 30.
That's amazing. Yeah. So that just came out. Kind of cool. And then we're about to leave for Europe in 10 days for the Boston Takeover tour with Slapshot, Risk, American War Machine, and that's for like 16 shows or something like that. So looking forward to that. So that's what we got coming up.
That looks great. When you go over like in a situation like this particular tour, are you guys traveling in a bus, in a van? How are you guys getting around?
So this one will be a bus. On a bus, there's it's like they're double deckers over there. So upstairs there's 20 bunks. So that way you can put 4 different bands in there, and it's more cost efficient than 4 different vans, X, Y, and Z. So yeah, we're all going to be on a bus. So that'll be pretty cool. I'm looking forward. I've never toured Europe with Slapshot. We played some shows together there before, so that'll be cool. I love Risk. Risk is a great up and coming band. And American War Machine's a great band. So it's going to be a cool tour.
Yeah, I mean, and also there's some overlap with some of the bands, which I'm assuming makes it all that more feasible and makes sense. Like, let's get a bus, because pretty much the guys in American War Machine are in Slapshot,
right?
And there's a lot of
for sure.
Yeah.
So it'll be cool. For a while I wanted to do some type of like Boston themed tour in Europe. You see that a lot with like New York bands. They're able to do it, and I talked to different bands throughout the years and was never able to put it together. And then us and Slapshot started talking last year, and I'm psyched.
Yeah. When you look at something like this, the sort of the itinerary.
Yeah.
Does that, when you look at this, do you go like, oh wow, like Prague, like, are there any of these places that like Death Before are like bastions of support, like that when you see this you go, oh yeah,
for sure. Yeah. I mean, a lot of like when I see like Budapest, Poland, Prague, all that stuff, like for sure those markets are people are super supportive there. It's awesome. So just like a lot of times when you go to Europe, you see like a lot of Germany. It's cool to hit a bunch of different markets on this.
Yeah, I mean, you're going deep here, man. Prague. Yeah, this is like a lot. This is like an Easter Bloc tour, you know?
Yeah, it's got a little bit of everything, which I like. And then even after that, so when that's done, we fly to Greece and do 10 shows in the Balkans ourselves, headlining after.
Oh,
this.
wow.
Yeah. So we're actually there the whole month of February. So we do this. We literally, this tour ends on the 18th. On the 19th, we fly to Greece. We got 2 shows in Greece, show in Macedonia.
Wow.
A show in Serbia.
Have you guys played Greece before?
Yeah, a few times. We've done a lot of weird stuff. All that Balkan stuff, we've done a few times. It's actually, the scene there is phenomenal.
I see you playing the infamous Coney Island in Leipzig.
Yeah.
I love that place. That place goes off, man.
Dude, that place is wild. It's been there forever. And if you're in like the backstage room, they got like they have all the bands that have played through the years. They've like
Yeah.
written on the thing. Such
I
a
was
cool
there.
venue.
I was there for the first time in like '93 with Biohazard, and
That's
we were
awesome.
like, "What is this place?"
Yeah.
And then I came back a couple years later when I was out with the Misfits,
Okay.
and it was like that place is that's like a beloved place,
For sure.
People
The
love
shows there are phenomenal. It's been there, I think the very first tour I did in Europe was there.
Yep.
I've been there numerous times. It's
Yeah.
definitely like middle of no, like when you pull in there, you don't know what's around there, and it looks kind of sketch. But everybody that works there, they're completely awesome. The venue's rad.
Sure.
The people that come out there are awesome. Great.
Yeah.
Some of my best shows I played there.
Yeah. So let's delve into it a little bit. How did you come up? Did you grow up in a musical household? How did music come into your life?
No. My mother was deaf and my father was hard of hearing, so there really wasn't music in my house. I don't have any like
Wow.
older siblings. I got younger siblings. I guess like just MTV probably. You know what I mean? When I was super young. Like I remember when I was like young buying like the Michael Jackson Thriller tape, like single tape, and like just random stuff. I'm like, so yeah, I don't have like a big musical upbringing until like probably like in my
That's
junior high.
That's heavy though. Your mom was deaf and your dad was hard of hearing.
Correct.
So you grew up in a household signing.
Yeah. But
Wow.
I mean, they could like, I didn't always have to sign. Like when you like, she could almost read my lips or understand me. It's more gestures. Even though I kind of knew sign language, it was more gestures. My dad, he had gotten bit by a dog when he was like 6. So he had watched like Three Stooges, and they try to cut a dog's tail. So he thought that was smart at 6, and the dog bit him, but the nerve in his nose, he could only hear like partially. So he could kind of like talk on the phone here and there with hearing aids, but as he progressively got older, his hearing like diminished. But my mother was completely deaf. Yeah.
That's
So
incredible.
yeah, there wasn't like a lot of music per se, like until like I would play music or watch music. You know what I mean?
Wow. What's up, Hoya?
What up, Hoya?
Yeah. Good people right there. Wow, that's incredible. That was mentioned to me a while back, and it slipped my mind that you grew up in a household. That's incredible. Do you have brothers or sisters?
Yeah, I have a younger brother and younger sister.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
they're hearing, so there was like they were just so nothing besides like like that I can remember, like just typical MTV, like Bruce Springsteen. And then like when I got into like junior high, I got into like skating. I was into like hip hop. I was into just from friends from school and stuff like that. You know what I mean? A little bit of metal before I figured out what like hardcore was.
Yeah. And then how did the heavy stuff come into your orbit?
I think probably through like skateboarding and stuff, like the people I was going to school with. There was a handful of kids from like I grew up in a town called Randolph, which is like in between Boston and Brockton, closer to Brockton, like 20 minutes, 30 minutes outside the city.
Sure.
There was a handful of kids there that were like into skating, and then like they were kind of in a hardcore. There was a kid that was in like a local hardcore band, and I had from skating, like I started, I remember watching Headbangers Ball, getting into like Biohazard and like just seeing these things, or even on Beavis and Butthead and stuff like that, like being like, yo, what's this? You know what I mean? Because I listened to hip hop, then I kind of like Slayer, and then I remember seeing like the Punishment video and being like, oh wow, all right, that's something. And then between that and linking up with some like the skateboarder friends that like kind of had some mixtapes and learning what hardcore was, so that was vaguely through there.
Any early hardcore influences? Did you gravitate to the Boston hardcore scene at the time?
Believe it or not, at the time, besides like local bands. So at first, like when I saw that Biohazard Punishment video, that was like a whole to do for me. Like I was like, it just aesthetically looked wild. You know what I mean? Like, you see Slayer. Like I saw Slayer videos, and I'm like, all right, that's wild. And then you see the Biohazard thing, and you're like, dude, this is like a whole different level. But I got a lot, so that like led, you buy the tape, and then you read the thanks list, and then you figure out,
start connecting the dots.
100%. You know what I mean? So a lot of it at first because of that, like, between Biohazard, Life of Agony, then figuring out who Madball, Agnostic Front, and all that stuff, a lot of it was really New York. And then because of some people I knew, then I started figuring out, like, by going to these stores that had hardcore music, you would see flyers for shows, or you would see zines. We had a zine in Boston called the Pit Report. It was like a free thing, and like it had to do a hardcore and punk, and it would have a show listing on the back and stuff like that. So then I started really figuring about Boston bands. You know what I mean? Yeah. But I would say, for whatever reason, probably because of the Biohazard tape. Yeah. I got into New York bands first.
Sure. Yeah. It makes sense. I mean, that Punishment video was a real it was like a gateway drug.
For sure. 100%.
It's crazy. I mean, having, produced it and been a big part of it.
You did do that, right? Yeah. That's right. That's right. That's amazing.
I did. I produced Punishment, Shades of Grey, Tales from the Hard Side, After Forever, and Slam, the Bionics version.
Oh yeah,
we did 5 Biohazard videos. Me and Paris Mayhew, bam, 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 bam.
But so all that, and then I started figuring out about bands here and like local bands and bands that were playing at the time. Like there was started going to shows. I think like
what kind of bands? What were the, like, when you first sort of stepped into it? What bands were there in Boston that were doing it at a level that caught your eye?
So I would just find flyers and go to shows, right? So it wasn't like, I was going to see. My first show was Biohazard. This band Stompbox, that was from Boston.
Course. I remember that tour. Yeah. Where was that? The Middle East?
No, it was actually Axis. It's no longer there.
Yeah, I remember. Sure.
It was next to Avalon. Right now, it's like the House.
It was on Lansdowne Street, right?
Yeah, it was on Lansdowne Street. It was like the 500 cap room. The stage was so right. But yeah, it was Biohazard, Stompbox, and this band called Reason Enough. Sure. They were from Boston area. So like that was my first show. And then like I had started hearing about like Reason Enough, Stompbox. Yeah. Tree was playing every other week, and Sam Black Church, and Honky, like all these bands. And I didn't, I guess the older you get, this band is this or this, but I was going to every show that, like,
of course, man. When you're young and you love it, man, you soak it. Hey, gotta shout out our good friend Chris Wren. What's up, Chris Wren for Bridge 9, man? What's up? What's up, Chris? I think
also shout out my homies from Eternal Struggle. I saw them on there.
Yeah, for sure.
That's dudes.
And it just is that Greg Reason?
No, Reason Enough?
Yeah.
No, Reason Enough was, they had a couple singers, but their last singer ended up being the singer of Reach the Sky.
What's
Ian.
the band that Greg was in before he?
Reason to Fight.
Reason to Fight. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and they're still a band. They play here and there. Yeah.
No, that's right. I got a little confused. Like he couldn't have been around that long.
Nah. I'd be great. Yeah. But this was like 92, 93. I forget what year that tour was. My memory's jaded. But from there, like I just went down a rabbit hole. So between like shows at the Middle East, shows on Lansdowne Street, I also would go to Rhode Island a lot. It's like 40 minutes. And I dropped out of school. So like anybody that would give me a ride and go to a show, like I would just like local dudes that were like kind of into hardcore, but they like metal. I was like, dude, just let's go to this show. And I would just eat everything up.
That's cool. I think that, let me just say that I think that Boston friends out there, was Axis the place 9 Lansdowne that the Dead Kennedys and SSD Control played back in '82? Any of you old timers? I think if it was 9 Lansdowne, I think it's the same place. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know.
That was before my time.
Hey, by the way, Daisha says she loves you, Bryan. So there you go.
Love you too.
You're getting love.
I appreciate that.
So what was sort of the impetus? Like, how did you end up in your first band?
So with going to all these shows, there was a band from like the Brockton area called Brawl Park, and they were playing like a bunch of shows. They were playing with like Madball. They were putting on shows. I worked at a Domino's Pizza, and the drummer of Brawl Park worked at the one in the next town over.
Mm-hmm.
And I was into this band, and he had come in, and someone was like, "Oh, that's the drummer of Brawl Park," because I'd worked with this other like kind of hardcore kid. Anyways, dude was super nice. He was like, "Yeah, we practiced in Brockton," so I went into the rehearsal place like on a Wednesday just to like hang out. I was like, "Oh, I'm going to a band's rehearsal place," and I used to go down there and watch them practice. And then I started to see, and that's where I met other people that were like in the bands because it was a whole rehearsal studio that eventually ended up becoming a venue. And I was like, "Oh, you can just like grab a mic and scream. You can just be in a band." But
it was the aha moment.
Right, because you never know. Like I just go to shows. I never been to a band's rehearsal place.
Wow, you can just it's like that.
That's it,
All right.
right. And their singer was going to college at the time. So he was like never there. So the band would always practice. And like I think at some point maybe I did like a cover song with them, just like didn't know what I was doing. But I met other people from that studio, and that's when I started my first. I say Incisions. I had probably had a band or two before Incision, but they were all like, I don't think we ever played a show, just goofy stuff. That's the original DVD lineup. But yeah, like 96, I started a band called Incision with the guy on the right there, my drummer, Dan at the time.
Is this Incision or DVD?
No, that's the original Death Before Dishonor.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I sent you a couple texts, but I might have fucking labeled them.
I didn't.
I don't know if there's a lineup for Incision, but there's definitely like an attic picture type show.
What picture did you send me a picture of?
I think so. Yeah, I think
it's
like
of you guys playing live.
Yeah, maybe like dude, there's like 5 people there in like an attic looking thing.
Yeah, wait, yeah. I got it mixed up. Let me find it.
Oh, good.
Hold on, keep going. I gotta find it. It's a great shot. Here it is. Is this it? I think I got the two mixed up.
Yeah. Okay.
Is this it?
Yeah. So that was my first band, and that was like 96 maybe. It was called Incision. We did like a demo, did a full length, did a bunch of weekends, nothing crazy. There was a club in Brockton called 121, and it was also a rehearsal place. That's where I met everybody. That's where I met these dudes in the band and started a band. They were already a band, and they had 2 singers. The guitar player Brawl Park was one of the singers, and this kid Rudy, rest in peace, was another singer. And then I don't know how it came to be, but I ended up being the singer. And that was my first band. Super learning experience, but it was cool. And I say first real, like I said, I had like another little band that we never played a show.
But this band actually got out there and played.
Yeah, we got out there a little bit. We played locally a whole bunch. We did like a weekend down to the last show we ever played was in Philly. We went to Pennsylvania a bunch. We linked up with this band Dysphoria from Pennsylvania. They would bring us down there. I met Joe Hardcore back then. So we did some stuff. We played CC's Pennsylvania, Music Pennsylvania, this club CC's that used to have.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah. Club shows there.
CC's is like a legendary, one of those legendary places.
Dude, it's so rad. A place
it was run by a family. It was like mom. The mom ran the door. No, like
something weird, right?
Yeah, it was like the mom ran the door.
Yeah.
The dad was the bartender. The son it was like a whole family,
Yeah, I remember it. Yeah. So we would go down there, play there. We got to play like Art Crisis down there and shit like that. It was cool. So that was. But being in that studio was like my gateway, like, oh, you can play in a band, you know what I mean? And then trying to figure stuff out. And then we did Incision from like 96, 97 to now. I'm probably fucking the years. I'm sorry for swearing. But, and then the drummer of Incision, after Incision ended, I was like, I got to do something different. And then we started Death Before Dishonor. It was my drummer from Incision that played in Death Before Dishonor for a while. At first, like, didn't want to play in the band. I forget. He was like, I'm done with music. So I linked up with like Frankie, the guitar player, Eric. He was in another band from that 121 era. And we started Death Before Dishonor in like 2000.
And I know that Frankie, I know he doesn't tour with you guys, but he's really basically your longest sort of cohort and collaborator, right? Yeah.
He doesn't tour with us. I mean, like, he plays with us sometimes. He's a member of the band. He's just, he had a kid. He's got like a real job, but he's probably the longest. I mean, but at this point too, like, I mean, I know we're jumping generations, but my drummer Ben has been with us at this point for 10, 11 years, and
Sure.
we just got Bureau back in. But yeah, Frankie's technically the longest.
Well, look at it sort of the timeline of the band and
Right.
who's been in and out of it. Basically, it hasn't been like a lot of like sudden moves. You know, it's like it's not like this guy did one tour. You know, some bands is like, oh, this guy did a couple. It's like everybody, anyone who comes in the band basically sticks around for a couple years. There is no like, I mean, you know,
Yeah, a couple here and there, but there's been a
Yeah.
lot of like, long tenure. Like our last
yeah.
guitar player that's in the This Is Hardcore video, Colin, he was in the band for 10 plus years. You know what I mean?
Sure.
People do kind of,
Yeah.
we had a couple, I'm sure, fill in for a tour here and there. Or,
Yeah.
But yeah, so Frankie's probably been like the longest, but I'm like the longest. Then Frankie stopped touring in 2010. I don't know. I get my years messed up. I'm like, I don't know. Ben's been touring in the band for like 11. So who knows? This band, it's been a long time.
So Death Before Dishonor gets rolling. You do the wartime demo. True Till Death. Spook on Spook City, right? Split CD with Nourish the Flame. What was Spook City? Was that the late? Is that explain how that comes into play?
So we do the wartime demo. You know, we start out, we do a demo. We start playing shows, then we start traveling, doing a bunch of weekends. There was a label called Spook City. The kid was actually from Chicago, but he was living in outside of Philly.
Okay.
And he had a label. He put out a bunch of like bands. Like I don't know where we fit in, but you know, I feel like he put out like Punish, like Joe Hardcore's band. I mean, he did. He did a bunch of releases for bands like up and coming bands. Anyways, we link up with him. He puts out True Till Death. We're doing weekends and stuff. That's how we met Nourish the Flame. They were North Carolina guys. So we would, you know, take off, go do 3 shows down that way. We met these dudes. But yeah, Spook City was just like an up and coming label that like liked us, put out our record, and you know, put out other cool records.
Hey, look, right at the time, it was an open door, an invite, and it got you guys up and running and got your stuff out there, right?
Yeah, and at that time too, like, I mean, you know, I guess this isn't like pre-internet, but the internet wasn't as prominent as it is now. You know what I mean? So about being on Spook City, you know, you link up with other bands that they got. You were going to the Midwest playing with Blood In, Blood Out. Might have put out The Killer from Chicago. You know what I mean? Between the label and our weekends and our like links of playing with bands coming in, playing Brockton or Boston, you know, we were just doing weekends, just playing out whenever we could.
Right, because this is heading somewhere. Because we're heading towards that that great story that we talked about the other day. You know, we were talking on the pre-show. I mean, a lot of people just fucking love this record, man.
Yeah,
and you know, this is the first release on Bridge 9, right?
Yep.
And is that Jim Siegel produced this? Is that right?
Yep.
How did Bridge 9 happen? And because at this point you've had a pretty long affiliation with Chris Wren and Bridge 9.
Yeah, ever since 2005. I mean, I think this came out in 2005. And obviously you must have talked.
Yeah, that's what I have it as.
Yeah. So yeah, ever since 2005, I mean, we've been with Bridge 9. So you know, we're doing weekends. We do a week out in California, and then even with True Till Death, like that's a full length that we wrote a year after being a band. You know what I mean? We don't really know what we're doing. We're just a hardcore band. I don't know. Sure. So I feel like as we're writing Friends Really Forever, the other thing too is growing up around here, I always wanted to record at the Outpost, right? Like there were a lot of records that were recorded there, and I'm like, and the Outpost was in Stoughton, which is the next town over from Randolph. Okay. So I'm like, dude, like Blood for Blood's recorded there, Dropkicks, dude, just so many bands. Right? And anyways, we're writing this record. We're looking for a label. Chris Wren comes out to one of our shows, and he was honest too, because I don't think he was really loving True Till Death or what we're doing. And then he saw us live when everybody else kind of like turned us down. Chris is like, man, you guys really have something. I played him. I think I played him some demos, or he just heard us live, and he was like, yeah, you know, if you tour and work this record, I'm like, dude, that's all we want to do, you know? So we record this record, and Chris links us up with Jim Siegel, which was cool. We worked with Jim Siegel for many years until he sold the studio. And then as this, like before this record comes out, you know, Chris is like sending out promo stuff, and then I want to say it was like February of 2005. Anyway,
Is this the great story that I love?
yeah, I mean,
All right, here we go. This is the
so-
great story. Go ahead. This,
so-
you know what? And let me preface this that
Yeah.
just sort of being a little bit of
Sure.
have things in perspective as a bit of a music historian is like this is one of those moments that comes along. You know, you're very fortunate if you have a moment like you know if this is a real watershed moment for you guys, and it really opened the future for you. So go ahead, tell it.
Yeah, so record's not out yet. We get, I think Chris Ryan calls me or something at this point or whatever. He's like, hey man, I forget how it unfolds, but regardless, someone goes, there's a European tour. It was supposed to be Agnostic Front.
Wasn't it Ono Chromag?
Ono Chromag got the record. So I don't know if Ono called me or called Chris to get in touch with me.
So
I'll get there. Because I forget who actually hit me up. And I kind of feel like because I wasn't really. So Chris had sent out, promos throughout Europe and the States, anticipating the release.
Sure.
But the record's not out. And one of the records, so there's a tour in Europe. It's Agnostic Front, Terror, and Diecast.
Right.
Last minute, Terror cancels for some reason. And this is one of these bus tours. So they needed a band, X amount of members. Ono Chromag had gotten word, whether it was from Roger or somebody, that Terror dropped and they needed a band or MAD or something. And Ono really was into the Death Before Dishonor record. So he suggested us. I don't think Ono called us. I think he called Chris. But regardless, we got an offer to go to Europe for 6 weeks with the Agnostic Front on a bus. I've never toured more than 7 days. And I'm like,
and that's, you guys never toured before.
More than 7 days.
Did you have passports? I mean,
no. So this is like my phone call. And I'm going to say it's a phone call. Let's just go with that. Let's say Chris Wren.
Let's go. Let's read. You know what? History is for those that make it.
All I know is someone hits me up and goes, hey man, can you be in Europe? Tour starts in like 10 days or 2 weeks for 6 weeks with Agnostic Front. And mind you, Agnostic Front One Voice is my all-time, and it always was, like, once I found Agnostic Front, favorite record, right?
And this was the Another Voice tour, correct?
This was Another Voice tour, yeah. So
sure.
They were like, yo, can you do this? And I just went, yep.
Yeah.
I mean, all we wanted to do, and leading up to this point, we never thought we'd go to Europe. We were just like, yo, if we get Bridge 9's going to sign us. Yeah, if we get opportunities, we're going to take them when they come. I hang up the phone, call the band, and be like, dude, we got to quit our jobs and get passports. And you're right. Nobody had passports. I was on probation. It was like, so we were all like, yeah, fuck it. We're going to do it. How do you say no to a tour like that? You know what I'm saying? Luckily, Boston has a passport office, and if you buy a flight, you can get an expedited passport.
Right. You got to get the flight and go in there. It's an expedited passport.
Exactly. And it costs a lot of money, but whatever. So yeah, after figuring all this out, I went to the court, paid off my fine so I could get off probation.
And the other guys in the band just fell in with it?
Yeah, we were just like, fuck it. I mean, we were all on, like, the one good, like, at that time, we were all on the same page. Yeah, sure. We kind of, like, nobody was like, man, if we ever get an offer, we're going to quit our jobs. But we were just like, well, like, we saw the band growing, and, like, Bridge and I was going to put us out. So we were already set in our head, if we get opportunities, we're going to take it. So when this came, like, I said yes, but I also was like, I didn't know how to say no, right? Like, who the fuck says no? I was like, I'll figure it out. And then called everybody else, and they were just like, yeah, fuck it. Let's go. And we pulled it up. Dude, we bought the tickets. I remember Roger calling me. I had never spoken to Roger besides maybe like hi at a show,
Right.
I was like, he was cool, but Roger. And then I remember, like, we got our flights. We had to meet the bus at the venue. I still didn't believe it happened. I remember getting to the venue, say the bus was supposed to be there at noon. It's like 12:30. I'm like, yep, I still don't believe it.
So you flew to Berlin, and
we actually flew to Amsterdam. So our first show was
we flew to Amsterdam, and then got to the venue, and the bus was there.
Bus wasn't there, so I was like, see ya. I was like, they ain't coming. And then they showed up, and yeah, the rest is history, man. Those
here's a good question. What kind of jobs did they have, and how old were they at that point?
All right, so I'm 44. This was 2005, so I don't know, 20s.
Yeah.
Was Frankie even 20 yet? Frankie's like younger. So me and my guitar player, we delivered wine. The boss was cool. Like, he already kind of let us take long weekends off. He let us go to California. Frankie, worked for his dad was the maintenance guy for like elderly condo complex
Sure.
/ maybe soldier. I don't know. Frankie
Yeah,
just didn't really,
yeah.
and Dan, my drummer, he worked for a company that like prints ink on wires, but they were cool too. Like his job
Yeah.
was just like whatever. But like I said, we're all in the mindset. We're like, fuck it, we're gonna go.
And
And
yeah.
we just jumped on a plane and fucking did it. And then even there, after like 2 weeks, so AF's out, it was 6 weeks in Europe on the Another Voice tour. And then AF was coming back to the States and doing like after a week off, Another
Sure.
Voice US tour.
Sure.
And I could have the band wrong, but I think like Love Is Red or somebody broke up.
Right.
And while we're there, Roger's like, yo, do you want to do the US tour? Like we clicked. Like Roger was great. We became super tight on this tour. And I was like, fuck it, let's do it. And Roger got us on that. And that was it. So we like did 6 weeks, week off, come home, 6 weeks.
Wow.
The tour in the States was actually 8 weeks, but we did 6 weeks of it. We had to end in Pittsburgh and then drive to Florida, start a tour that we had with Blacklisted that we had booked before.
I see. Adam Sachs says, I booked that show in Orlando, Walls of Jericho as well.
Is that what it was? I just remember it was like a huge package and one of the bands couldn't do it. And we were just like, yeah. So, yeah, we went from a band that toured like 1 week consistently.
That's fucking great, man.
To 6 weeks, a week off. And I mean, and with Agnostic
that's the watershed moment. You go out and when you think about 6 weeks in Europe, 6 weeks in 3 months total, you're like out there playing.
No days off. No days off.
I gotta ask, getting out there like that, physically, vocally, was that a challenge for you?
So I feel like one good thing we always did when we were younger as a band, we would practice like 3 times a week. We were all kind of local, so we'd like get together, practice 3 times a week, like so I think that really helped us because like we don't practice that much now, but like back then for whatever
who does
right? Yeah. So I feel like that, and then it was a little bit of a challenge, but there was a lot of like adrenaline, like so I also don't want to shy away from the fact like it was an opportunity, like you said, an opportunity like that like comes along like once in a fucking life. Like who the sure, did we have a record to support? Fuck yeah. Did we play great? Sure, but like, dude, that was a fucking opportunity. But yeah,
the stars lined a little bit. You had the record. You had the great record. You had a great enthusiastic.
Well, this was even crazy too. And at the time, so when we go to Europe, that record's like about to be out, but it's not out yet. So we're literally burning copies of the CD and making copies of the cover and selling it for $3 because this tour is packed and we don't have a record. We have merch. We brought merch.
Right.
And I remember Chris was supposed to ship it to like Berlin, and he did, but back then like import custom, like I couldn't get the CDs.
It was a nightmare, man.
But me and Frankie every day would get up, we'd burn copies of the CD, like we had a disc burner, and just make copies of the cover, and we didn't want to sell it for like $10 because it was a burn.
No, it's Insane Clown Posse style. When I went out on the road with Biohazard and the Insane Clown Posse, they were bootlegging their own shit. They were playing fucking arenas, and instead of getting and selling, from the record label, they were burning their own stuff and selling it at the shows. They're like, "Fuck it, why?" That was awesome, and they were selling every night. Tens of thousands of dollars worth of merchandise, the Insane Clown Posse.
Crazy.
Here you go. Adam Sachs says, Love Is Red broke up. Before Dishonor took
it was Love Is Red, Thanks, Adam. Adam, who's done many of our shows back in the day. But yeah, I think when you go out there and play every night and you have no choice, like it was so long ago, for sure there was some learning curves, but that's like the best workout you can get, right? After you're playing all those times, you build up all those muscles in your stomach, and
and
you got to fight through it, right? You blow your voice out. I don't know. You're playing. It doesn't matter. I'm not the most healthiest person. I smoke cigarettes and coffee, and I don't have a regimen. But if I play a bunch, I just feel in shape, and I think between that tour and the tour afterwards and whatever that led us into, it definitely like shaped me up for.
Well, key thing you said there was like muscles in your stomach as the kind of singer that you are and that I am. It's a big part of it is being in shape is from the stomach
For sure.
It took me about 30 years to figure that out.
Yeah, I feel like for some reason, besides like my first couple bands, like when I started doing this and like the practicing all the time,
Sure.
I lucked out and just got it. I think, I see
Yeah.
how people like have to, I don't know. I think I was just lucky, you know what I mean? Because people are like, what do you do? And I'm like, I don't know. This.
Yeah, you're fortunate. You and Lou Kohler from Sick of It All. It's like how the fuck does he do that night after night? You know?
I mean, I'll have an off night here and there, but yeah, for sure. So that whole tour definitely like shaped DVD from the wartime demo and True Till Death up to like 2005 and Friends Really Forever. Like the band by the time 2005 and Friends Really Forever comes out on Bridge 9, we sound a bit different.
Yeah.
Our trajectory is different. All of a sudden we go from doing weekends to we're a full-time band.
Sure. And a couple another thing is you guys were pretty proficient around this era. You were doing a record every other year.
Yeah.
And Count Me In came after that.
Yeah, I think it was 07.
Yeah. And I know this, I was told that this was the first Bridge 9 release to break the top 100. There was a video on Headbangers Ball and everything, right?
Yep. Yeah, that record did well. We had a video that we try to rip off our own version of Punishment. Bio has a video shot in Boston, because why wouldn't you do that for your first video? That got played on Headbangers Ball when like Jamie Josta was hosting it for like, it was up there for like 6 or 8 weeks. It was really cool. But yeah, so that came out 2 years later. We're definitely on like the touring every couple of years, put out a record.
Sure.
Momentum for sure.
Were you? I mean, you guys put in a lot of hard work. Going over to Europe, did you really feel the love over there in that era? And yeah.
So that AF thing was huge for us because AF is such a well-known band in Europe. So that tour gave us great exposure. We followed that up with like a 6-week headlining tour, which was fucking tough.
Wow.
Some good shows, but like we basically had to do 6 weeks to cover the cost of the van and the flights, right?
Yeah.
You do the math. Yeah. The band only gets X amount of dollars. We did great on AF, but what are you worth?
Yeah.
So we do that, but there were some bad shows. There were some nights that were, we're stuck in Berlin for 4 days. But all that hard work, like we really started building up a following. There was a point where we were going to Europe like 3 times a year.
Wow.
Like we would do, tour, go over for the festivals, and then do a tour at the end of the year. So yeah, Europe really like took on and was super important for us.
Oh, talking about, I just got so engrossed in the whole thing. Talking about that first AF DB. Here's a couple from that tour, right?
That one is not. There's one. I sent you pictures, but I'm sure the way my text came through, who the fuck knows? Oh, maybe that might have been actually. I don't fucking know.
Well, I know
there's one with like.
There's one shot with I see Stigma's in this shot.
Yeah. So. I think that one's from the tour.
Here you go. Here's the one. I see Stigma on the right here, right?
Yeah, that's from the tour. And that the other dudes, they were a band called Black Friday 29 from Germany. They were on the tour as well.
I see.
Yeah, that's a tour, 05. Yeah, so that was January. Yeah, March 05. Yeah, damn.
Yeah, March 14th, 05.
Yeah.
And these...
I think the other pictures are just random pics throughout them.
Okay. Just sort of random...
that was
his one. Just kind of random chaos.
Yeah. Yeah, that one's from before 05. I actually remember that. That's from, we played with Blood for Blood at the bomb shelter in Manchester, New Hampshire. That's from that.
That place looks like a bomb shelter.
It looks like a bomb shelter.
What do we call it? Let's call it the bomb shelter.
For sure.
Oh, wait. Well, this looks like another shot from the bomb shelter. There you go.
Yeah, that actually probably is. Yeah, it looks like the same. Yeah.
Where in New Hampshire was that?
That was in Manchester. It was like a bigger venue. It was there for a little bit.
Yeah.
I know I played there. That show was with Blood for Blood.
And that place looks like a death trap. It's probably a one exit, right?
Old building, and like definitely not there anymore. And I only been to like 1 or 2 other shows. I feel like it was a pretty big room. They didn't have a lot of hardcore shows there.
Yeah. I'm not sure. I know I know there's a couple of, I'm not sure what lineup. I think I'm taking a shot here that this is somewhere in that little bit later, right?
Let's see what we got. That's the lineup. That's later. That's like 2017.
Okay, got it. Okay, we'll come back to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. After, this, I got to ask this one here, playing, these kind of, listen, when I play, I get worked. The kind of band that you're in, man, I mean, you gotta, have you ever seriously gotten hurt?
No, I've been kind of fortunate.
Yeah,
that one, good. I think I was just an idiot stage diving from Apple. You know what? You know what's funny? That's at Coney Island High in Leipzig.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. We did. It was 2009. It was Madball Terror, Depth for Dishonor, Cruel Hand, and the setup.
Wow,
the show was wild. I remember stage diving for Madball, and I split my eye open. I think I've been pretty fortunate. I've never really been hurt.
Yeah,
I mean, chipped teeth. You know what I mean?
Yeah. The usual frontman shit. Chipped teeth. Smacked in the
a couple
elbowed in the balls, all that stuff.
So other than that, nothing too severe.
Yeah, well, that's good. You're fortunate. I remember Roger got really hurt on stage once.
Yeah,
I was there for that. It was pretty.
Okay, yeah. I remember
pretty fucked up.
Yeah, sucks.
Yeah.
And I got a bad back, so I'm always like, sometimes when you're in Europe, these crap, dude, you just gotta be careful.
Yeah. Back in the day, kids used to pile up on stage a lot.
Yeah.
They don't do that as much anymore.
No.
I remember once when I first joined Antidote, we played CBGBs and kids piled up on the stage and my leg got caught underneath it. And I felt the bone in my leg bending. Like I felt it bending and I was like, I just started fucking just hitting flesh and it was bending. It was going to break. Fortunately, it didn't, man.
It just sounds horrible.
Break your leg on stage. Well, that said, let me take a sponsor break.
All right.
And take a couple minutes, and we'll shout out our sponsors, and we'll come back and we'll continue with unfinished business and a couple other things. Okay.
Sounds good.
See you in a few. Well, there you have it. Yes, sirree. Good to see you. This is the New York Hardcore Chronicles Live. Our guest today is Bryan Harris from Death Before Dishonor. Boston Hardcore represent. So there you have it. Where is how about, I'm sorry, let's take a word from our sponsors.
Since 1992, Generation Records has been a mainstay of the New York metropolitan area music scene. Today, they offer a diverse selection of new and used rock, jazz, indie, hip-hop, punk, hardcore, metal, blues, soundtrack, and reggae LPs, as well as t-shirts, posters, and other merchandise. They buy used record collections and music memorabilia and will pay you top dollar for them. House calls made for large collections in the tri-state area. Call or email generationrecords@gmail.com and follow them on Facebook and Instagram.
Hey guys, Vlad from Organic Grill. As you can see, we're in new location on West 3rd Street, right by Blue Note and Comedy Central. The place is bigger, kitchen is bigger, we have more varieties, more food. We are looking forward to treat you guys with great dishes. All Hardcore Chronicles, welcome to Organic Grill. We are going to serve all the events as we usually do, and we are happy to see you guys.
Peace, what it do? Welcome to NYHC Comics at 117 Main Street, Dobbs, Surrey, New York. I'm Debo the Pro with my homie
Lee Farley.
Welcome to the spot. specializing in yesterday's and today's comic books, rare CGCs, toys, collectibles,
Got skateboards, old school tapes, Magic the Gathering, Warhammer,
video games, original art pieces by your favorite New York City and worldwide artists. Let's go. Skate decks all day, baby.
We also have the young reader section here for like 10 and under. Pops. People love the Pops.
Star Wars. We are New York hardcore. We always rep the scene. Let's get it on.
And we're back. This is the New York Hardcore Chronicles Live. Yeah, sorry about that. I had the shit right in front of me. Sometimes it's right in front of you. You know what I want to talk to you about, my friends? Let's talk about the upcoming shows. And I don't know if you might have heard, we announced the 250th episode. So let's run through the gamut here real quick. 1 week from today, we are all very excited. We have the legendary Plasmatics guitar player, Richie Stotts, coming on the show. That's Sunday, January 29th. A week after that, Phil Demmel from Violence and Machine Head will be on. Then we're doing the Hot Tuner retrospective, which I'm personally very excited about. Wednesday, February 15th, Andy Guida from Altercation, Supertouch, Absolution, and Stillborn. He also has 6-3 Studio will be on the show. Sunday, February 19th, yes, Mystery Man Vinny Vitale, Marauder will be on the show. Sunday, February 26th, Dave from MDC will be on. Episode 247, Skeeter from Scream. Episode 248, Danny Garcia, film director who directed The Rise and the Fall of the Clash, Stiv, Looking for Johnny, the Johnny Thunders film, Rolling Stone, The Life and Death of Brian Jones. I want to talk to you about the 250th episode. I mentioned this before. I don't want to say a wide net was cast, but a couple people got asked. And in this particular case, 2 people came to the party. So basically, the 249th and the 250th show are bangers. The 249th show is Louis Beto, drummer for Carnivore. And of course, he was in Agnostic Front. He played on the Cause for Alarm record. This is like a white whale right here. Louis was one of the first people I ever asked to be on the show. And he just really didn't feel like he had anything to offer or he had anything to say. And I have worked on getting this guy on the show literally since its inception, over 2 years ago. So this is going to be really, really, really great. There's the alternate flyer. So Louis Beto, Carnivore is show 249. And then, of course, if you don't know, show 250 is Lars Fredriksson from Rancid, the Old Firm Casuals, and Oxy's Midnight Runners. So that's what's happening. That's the big banger right there. And then yes, we are all happy that Louis is coming on. And then even looking beyond episode 250, another band that's come up a lot, especially with the DC cats that have been on the show, is the Slicky Boys. They were a hugely influential band out of DC, and we have Marshall Keith and Kim Kane coming on. Rob Moss from Artificial Peace and Government Issue is going to co-host the show with me. I like when I bring people on to co-host every now and then. So yeah. So, man, Lars is 250, Louis 249. That's what's up. And then, of course, a week from today is Richie Stotts. So get your shoes and socks on, kids. That's right. Looking good. And yeah, you know what? What's interesting? I didn't even make it to Henry Rollins and Ian Mackay. I didn't even ask them about 250. I didn't even get that far. I actually talked to John Brannon from Negative Approach, and then these guys kind of came to the party. So I gotta follow up with John. We got to get John from Negative Approach on the show. So that said, listen, if you're out there, The show needs support. I want to thank. I got some new patrons that came on board, and I want to thank them. Andrew Zito, Eric DeLesio, Louis Zaretsky, Lex 2000, and Hugh James. Thank you for supporting the show. And if you have yet to support the show, please consider it. By the way, one of the things that we are doing, just a heads up for, where is, hold on, let me find this. Yeah. We are heading out on we're doing a walking tour, all patrons, free to all patrons. We're doing the Drew Stone Cinematic and Music Walking Tour. It is Saturday, March 4th, free for all patrons. Please join patrons. It's $2 you cheap fuck. Yeah, we're going out. We're doing the walking there. Hey, Lex 2000. There you are. Thank you so much for supporting the show. Honestly, man, I can't emphasize enough, how much it means to me, the people that support the show on Patreon. You're enabling the show to happen. So thank you so much. Like I said, and if any of the patrons are in New York on Saturday, March 4th, please consider coming out with us. It's a great time. When we do the walking tour. It's a lot of fun. So there it is, bottom of the screen, join Patreon. There you said. That said, let's clear the deck. Make sure I think I covered everything. We'll do some more at the next break, huh? It is Shout Out Sunday, by the way. Is that right? Death Threat is doing a 25th anniversary shows in Connecticut in March. Good time to get Aaron on. Okay. Good heads up. Thank you for the heads up. That said, let me clear the deck. Let's bring our guest back on, Mr. Bryan Harris from Death Before Dishonor. Hey, man.
What's up?
Got a lot going on here,
Yeah, I can see
that. I wanted to. I know we're jumping around.
Yeah,
a little bit here, but actually, you know what? Why do that? We'll try to keep it. A little linear. Better Ways to Die.
Yep.
Any recollections about recording this record? 2009 and another on Bridge 9. Anything you recall from this?
That record, so you had just showed Count Me In. When Count Me In came out, we were touring a lot. I remember this record, we took a little more time to write it, and I think we had a little more time in the studio with Jim Siegel on this record.
Right.
So yeah, I feel like with that record, we definitely with the more time, we definitely indulged a little more into our different things that influence us throughout the years. You know what I mean?
You've done a couple of these. I mean, do you feel? I mean, I think there's a lot of different ways to do this. To make a record come up. I mean, do you feel that having more time serves you? I know some people no, I just need to be forced in there, and then we make the magic happen.
For me personally, and I'm less creative than the Frankies or the other members of the band, right? I'm the least creative. So I would say get in and get it done. I will say, as someone that appreciates our own music, I do think with a little more time. But this, like you said, there's two ways to go, man. Sometimes you just go in and bang it out, and that heat of the moment, what comes up, just works. And then there's other times, you take too much time, you start overthinking stuff. I mean, yeah, like I said, out of the records that, we had a little more time to quote unquote write. We had a different lineup for writing this, and then yeah, it was cool. And even the time in the studio, always working with Jim Siegel was cool. He's a little bit.
I mean, this album certainly has its staunch supporters that love this record, man.
For sure, but also it's crazy because when that record came out too, I feel like it was a time when the record industry was changing from the whole sound scans and the physicals to
we're talking 2009, man. It was a real
10, that whole time. so I don't know. Like, I feel like that record didn't get the love, but but now we play these songs and and they're good. So I don't know. You know what I mean? I
It's
like.
funny. I was just thinking about that actually. For some reason, I was thinking about. It was actually I was thinking about Guns N' Roses, and
Right.
when I was living in Vermont at the time in 2008,
Yeah.
and they put out a release, and it was like only available at like Walmart or something. It was Chinese Democracy, and it was like, and it made me. I thought like that was a weird time for music. It was like it wasn't like now where there was a Spotify or any of that. It was like it was almost like everything was collapsing for a couple
even
years,
like you said, even where you could get physicals weren't the same. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
but yeah, that record was cool, man. And we like ever since like Friends, Family, Forever, and even before that record, Better Ways to Die, we just took a little time off from touring, but we were constantly like, dude, between 2006 and 2009 or even 10, we were doing 200, 250 shows a year, playing everywhere. Yeah. Oh, we were out all, and it wasn't just US and Europe. I mean, we were going to Southeast Asia, Australia, we've been to a couple times, South America, Mexico, Central America. I mean, we've been to some weird places. So we were constantly moving. And then like at the end of that record is kind of where like, not that we didn't have lineup issues before that, but that's definitely where lineup started shifting. Like after, a year or two after that, or maybe a year after that, Frankie stopped touring with us. B-Roll stopped touring with us. The drummer that played on the record, Memphis, he wasn't in the band anymore. So, and then I remember Colin came along, and Colin was with us for a while, but there was a little bit of like, who's going to play bass, patching this and that. But yeah.
Sure. And
that's what happens when you tour so much. Like, we did well. We did a lot of tours. We were fortunate enough to go to a lot of places, but you're not making that money. And if you want to get married and have a house and kids, and I'm married, so it's not just married, but like buy a house, have children, it's fucking hard.
Absolutely, man.
Even without a band, it's hard. Right?
Absolutely. No, it's absolutely, man. It's one thing when you're all in your teens or in your 20s,
For sure.
and it's like, let's just get in the van on top of each other and fucking stink and fart and carry on. And who cares? I'll get a job when I get back. But as you get a little bit older and you got a wife and a life and a job and some kids and a couple other things, it gets a little, it can get a little difficult.
For sure. Even those 200 days, those 200 days on the road, those 200 days on the road will get to each other too. So you start hating each other. You start sick of each other. There's only so much you can take.
It's hard, man.
Yeah.
How does this guy come into play?
He comes in later.
He's later than this.
Yeah, Greg comes in Greg's only been in the band for probably like 4 years now.
Yeah.
So before Greg, actually, when I got Colin came in playing bass. Even though he's a guitar player, Colin was in Span Shoot to Kill. He was in 100 Demons for a while, but he was in Death for Dishonor for about 10, 11 years. We had went through a couple different bass players, kind of fill-ins and stuff. And I know Greg for a while, but so Ben joins the band on drums. Ben's from Rhode Island. Ben is in Reason to Fight with Greg, but he's known Greg forever.
I see.
So later on, even though we're jumping, let's just say, Ben's been in the band for years. We need a bass player. The last bass player before Greg was a good friend of mine, Austin, but he just couldn't tour all the time.
Yeah. And
it was like, I had thought about Greg before, but Greg owns a company and he has kids.
And he's got young kids.
Right. So I was like, man, it'd be cool if Greg could play in the band. And Ben's like, let's ask him. And I'm like, he's not going to want to do it. And it just worked out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm sure he has to manage a lot because he owns a plumbing company and kids. But yeah, Greg's been in the band, and I mess up everybody's years. I say 4 years. I don't know. I could be fucking wrong.
I was so happy.
That would make sense because you showed the This Is Hardcore video, and Greg wasn't in the band yet, and that was 2019. So Greg might have come in
correct.
Greg came in. So that This Is Hardcore video, I think that was the last show Austin played with us, and Greg came in after that. So
I was so happy. I was so happy for this guy. Here's a guy that like put in his time in the trenches. Works so hard, man. It's not everybody gets that call. You know what I mean? Yeah. Not everybody gets that fucking call. Hey man, you want this slot. you know, 99% of us out here, you know, we don't get the call, you know.
Right.
And here's a guy that loves, you know, loves the genre, has
Yep.
put in his work. It was like, yeah,
Shows,
that's
put in
fucking great.
bands, toured,
Yeah.
you know, no, he had like, aside from being a great bass player, you know, he books shows, he plays in bands, always has. Like you said, he's at every damn show. He loves
Yeah,
hardcore.
right.
And it just worked. Like I said, I was just concerned about, you know, when you got a family, I understand prioritizing family. Like I'm never going to be a dick about that. But like I said, he makes it work. He's definitely like a great addition to this band. Plus, he's a little bit older, but not out of touch old. You know what I mean? Like, but like, you know what I mean? He's still involved as much as he can be with shows. So it works out. And as someone getting older, it helps to have, you know, it's tough when you have a 23-year-old in the band, which I've had at times, and no knock on them. It's just, you know, different time, different place.
There he is. 3.5 years, joined August 31st, 2000.
Right. So This Is Hardcore was like what, August 8th. So it was a couple weeks after This Is Hardcore. And I know we went to California with Madball, all this stuff before the pandemic.
And he comes in and you guys record this, correct?
We actually had already recorded. So yeah, the timeline's a little off. So the release date of that show is that This Is Hardcore that you just showed right before.
Okay.
So we recorded that a year before it comes out. And there's a huge gap. So between 2009, Better Ways to Die, we don't put out anything till this record, and that's 10 years.
Wow.
And part of that is lineup changes, the 250 days a year. And even after Better Ways to Die, we're still touring off that record till till 2014. And we never stopped. But after 2014, we kind of ramped down.
Yeah.
And just personal stuff. Parents were sick. I got married. You know, all these things. So we never did anything. Like we always talked about it. And then finally, and we had reached out to Zeus before that. And then I don't know. We had been writing these songs for a while, so it wasn't a matter of the songs. It was just like our priorities were kind of all over the place. And then
what was it? Was it strange? Was it strange not putting out new music for 10 years?
So, you know, yeah, like when you look back on it, for sure. But in the moment, you're just like, when you're spent, and then like you got this vicious cycle, right? Every 2 years. We put out Better Ways to Die. You tour till 2014. So that's 4 years off the record. You don't think anything of it. Plus with member changes, you're not really thinking about a record. You just want to sound tight and stuff like that. But looking back, yeah, it's super weird. But I think it was a weird time. And like I said, we never stopped, but we didn't do 250 days anymore, right? All of a sudden we're going, we'll go to Europe for 10 days or we'll do this local show, like anything. And we did stuff, but it just wasn't like, I don't know. I feel like the band was like a focus, but not a major focus. And then we fast forward to like 2018, personal life, things are starting to fall in order. Sure. Zeus that we had talked to was like, yo, I want to do this record. And we were like, a year prior to this, we were reaching out to Zeus and he's kind of busy. And then he drops a dime like, hey man, say he hits me up like must have been December of 2018. And he was like, hey, you're playing 3 shows in Connecticut. I have a drum studio there. You want to do this record? And we're like, oh shit, now we got to really focus on this after dicking around for 10 years. So yeah, we go into the studio and that is before Greg joins.
This record crushes, man.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. I
love the sound of this record, man.
Yeah. Zeus killed it.
Zeus is the guy.
He killed it, man. And I was a big, like, you know, before that, always working with Jim Siegel. Like Jim Siegel was like my dude. And then
right.
And I wasn't sure. We had only recorded from Friends Family Forever till this record just with Jim Siegel. So that's 2005 till 2019. Plus, this is the first record we go in and Frankie doesn't write or record. Sure. In fairness, he did write lyrics to one song and came in and did vocals with me. But like musically, it was the first record since ever that Frankie's not involved in recording like the music. So Zeus was a man, and I was just happy how it came out. And we even had more songs, but like I kind of went back to the original Friends Family Forever mindset of like 7-8 songs. Why put up too much? People's attention span is short, and I don't know.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. So some people think that more is better, but it's not. More
think
is
it
not
is.
better. Less is more.
That's my opinion. And like I said, I feel like with people's attention span nowadays, there's
Yeah,
so
yeah.
much going on. So that's kind of what we went with. And yeah, so that comes out in 2019. And it's kind of weird how everything worked out because there's this huge lull in the band. And then, we record this record. I don't even tell Chris Wren that we're in the studio because I've been lying to him for like 8 years saying we're going to do a record. I'm like, yeah, next year will be the record. And so I fronted the money at first, but I was like, I'm not going to tell Chris till we're in the studio. Then I'm like, shit.
Yeah, give the poor fucking guy a break, right?
Dude, every year. Next year's going to be the year.
It's happening.
Then I'm like, yo, Chris, by the way, we're actually in the studio recording a record. How quick can you put this out? But yeah, so that comes out. We're psyched on it. Greg joins the band. We're going to hit the ground running, and then the pandemic hits us. So.
And that's sort of...
Yeah, and we did some stuff leading up to it. We just had a lot more, but I do think, granted, pandemic sucked. We had one more lineup change after that. But since this record, I mean, we've just been doing a lot more, and it feels good. I feel like we're out there way more. It's good.
Yeah. And the video, this video is...
That's one of the videos on that. Yeah, it's for a song called Freedom Dies on that record.
Yeah, let's take a peek. Get your Zeus on, bro. That sound it really that thing is that thing is really that thing rips, man. I like I said, one of the great joys of doing this show is when people like yourself come on that I may not know the catalog that well.
For sure.
And I have the opportunity to do a deep dive in the catalog getting ready for the show. And I was just like, fuck, man. I can't wait to see you guys. I know we've played together here and there, and our paths have crossed many times. But damn, I can't wait to see you guys play.
I appreciate that, man. And
right.
That's how it goes, right? There's a lot of stuff that I'm like, you don't think of, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh shit, this is cool. No, I appreciate that a lot.
What? Give us a little insight on this video. Who did it? Where was it done?
It was done in Rhode Island at Greg's practice spot. Greg's got a spot in like it's not in Providence, like Pawtucket or something, Central Falls.
Is Greg in Warwick?
He might live there for sure.
Right.
Dude, I'm the fucking worst. I don't know. It's all Providence to me.
Woo!
Yeah, so it's that, and once again, it's one of these weird things. Like I'm king of, our very first music video. I had a quasi rip off Biohazard Punishment, and obviously here I'm just ripping off Sepultura just because.
Okay, fair enough. You've had some great drummers in this band, bro.
Yeah, I've been lucky. Ben, who's been in the band, like I said, he's been in the band like 10, 11 years now. I stole him when he was nice and young. He's amazing. He helps with everything. Great drummer. Helps with writing. But yeah, he's been in the band for a while now. So
I know. And I guess so the record comes out and what you're sort of like put on hold for the pandemic, and then the pandemic kind of starts subsiding, and you guys went. Is that when you went out on this?
That was a little later. So pandemic hits. I mean, the record comes out. We do like a West Coast run. We have a bunch of shit lined up. Pandemic hits. Yeah. Then as it's loosening up, like do a couple shows. We're kind of playing whenever we can. We actually played with Madball in a parking lot in Rhode Island the day before they played the Tompkins Square Park show.
Oh, jeez.
So like
I remember that.
Yeah. So like in Rhode Island, they were still like tough with the amount of people. So we could play outside. So we literally played outside in a parking lot with Madball. And then we actually played with Madball in Brooklyn the day after the Tompkins Square Park show at some outdoor place. I don't know the name of the venue.
Oh, it was like, yeah, I remember.
Half was outside, half was inside. Like it had a
Monarch. No, it was like the something food. Yeah, it was a weird place.
They sold food there. I know that.
Yeah.
So yeah, but then we do that, and then we do a run down to Texas with Madball, or we're supposed to with Madball, and then unfortunately Hoya's brother passed, so they had to cancel off the tour. So we still went just because we were already on the road. Like, this was so last minute. And then so we did some shows down there, and things were like kind of cool. Like every city was kind of different. We couldn't play Louisiana because like they had bad COVID outbreaks, whatever. We kind of just navigated. Then I just saw that. Yeah, there was.
Oh, that's it. Arrogant Swine. Thank you, Greg.
Arrogant Swine. Yeah. We just do a handful of stuff. And then the first tour we actually do 3 shows in Mexico, sorry. A bunch of shows in Central America and in Colombia at some in Bogota, Colombia at some festival. And that was wild. Post-pandemic, I don't know, 9 different countries in 12 days, flying everywhere. And I had done Central America before, but it had been a while. So that was really cool. And then, last summer we went to Europe with Eternal Struggle. We've been doing a bunch of stuff. We did a Midwest run with Cruel Hand and Year of the Knife. Just trying to do everything we can.
Yeah, I mean, this is Eternal Struggle. Those are my guys. From Israel, and
you were there like right before we met up with them or something.
Yeah,
correct?
Right. Yeah. I was there screening my new film, and then they came over. And I was just so happy for them that they're finally, it's a tough place to break out of. Israel. There's not a lot of opportunities. And this was really their first opportunity to get out. And I know they really, you guys had a great tour, man.
Yeah. So, I remember hearing them because Mitz
produced them
on the record. And I remember hearing it because, Mitz was over there a while ago. I always thought the band was great.
I was over there with Mitz. Yeah.
We had this tour, and however it worked out, Mitz hit me up and I'm like, yeah, for sure. And that band is awesome, man. And like you said, I got to learn a little bit about like what they have to deal with to try to break out and stuff like that. And hopefully we had talked about us doing a show there. Hopefully we'll do it this summer while we're over in Europe, fly over and do a show. But yeah, great band. Amazing people. It was a cool tour. It's tough to do a headlining tour without festivals in the summertime.
Yeah.
I could complain about a lot of things, but one thing for sure, having those guys with us was really fucking cool. Like those guys were psyched. And then since then they got to go back to Europe with Sick of It All. And it looks like they have some festivals this summer, which is cool. And
they're breaking out, I mean, Israel's a tough place to play for a band, for a band like you or us or whatever, because you really have to make the commitment. It's not like hey, it's a big money making opportunity. This and that. It's really, hey, we're going to do this and we're going to break even, or we're going to make a couple of shekels or whatever. But like once you go over there, you get big love, man.
So one thing, like where we've been fortunate in a lot of the places that we have played, we are the type of band that'll be like, all right, like that Central America run. You're not going to make a lot of money in El Salvador, Guatemala, but you're going to have the craziest show, right?
Right.
I mean, I might have lost money. So it's weird because we're always the band that like wants to take that risk.
Yeah.
It's like, and this goes back to why you can't have a family and be in this fucking band. I mean,
right.
Not every tour. Yeah, sure. I do a Europe tour. Sure. Cool. It's profitable. Then I'm like, all right, dude, we're going to do 3 shows in Mexico, Guatemala, El Salvador, Panama, Costa Rica, Ecuador, and end in Bogota. And we played Bogota a bunch. Bogota's your moneymaker, but this other stuff, dude, anything can happen. And
Bogota's a sure bet. Bogota always goes off.
Rips. Yeah. But, we played El Salvador before where the promoter got shot. That was like 2008, 9, so when we go back, I'm like, anything is possible here. But yeah, but those crowds in these places are the most appreciative thing ever. Yeah. And I love that more than any dollar that you could ever give me. And don't get me wrong. I mean, I couldn't pay for every trip in the world, but just that love for music is why we do it. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, man.
And when I say we, I mean, like, I feel like all of us that do music, right?
Sure.
That's the thing.
No, I'm with you 100%. You know, it's for not and I can only speak for myself and is it but for some of us it's not just about the money. I don't
Right.
want to mention names, but there's people out there that are like, yo, if we can't make money doing it,
Right.
I ain't getting out of fucking bed. There's a lot of musicians out there that are like that. And
And agree, like, that's not how I am, and everybody has a different perspective, but
Sure.
you're right. I mean, and in fairness, when you have more responsibilities, I do understand, like, if you need to make X amount of dollars opposed
Sure.
to going to work. I've always kind of like set my life up to not, I don't have kids. Yeah, I'm married. My wife is super supportive.
Yep.
Greg has kids and can make it work. He also is a phenomenal plumber, so I don't know, maybe that's how he does it. But for sure, I mean, that's just kind of how I operate, and if I can make a couple bucks, sure. I'm not trying not to make money.
it's like the scene in The Godfather when Hyman Roth says, that's the life we chose.
Right.
You
for
know,
sure.
and like, this is the life you and I have chose.
Right.
This is the life we have set up so we can do these things that bring
sure.
us joy.
Right. And I love doing it. I mean, there's days that I'm like I said, I'm about to leave for a month. I don't remember the last time I did a full month tour. But so I just, but I'm like, oh, I'm over there. Oh, I get to go back to Greece and Serbia. I'm like, oh shit, man, I can't wait. You know what I mean? So that drive always pushes me. And then I'm like, oh yeah, I'm gone for a month. Fuck. All right. Okay. All right. We'll figure this out.
It's a lot of people who haven't lived it don't really understand it. It can be, and I remember because when I was tour managing, even for going out with Biohazard and stuff like that, it was a tough time because you build something at home and you go out and you come back. It's like Groundhog Day. You have to set it up again. And it's not for everyone because it can fuck with your head, man.
Oh, it for sure can. It's really like, you don't want to be like, because people are like, oh, you get to see the world and this and that. And it's like, for sure. And I will never take that away. But there's days like you said, it's two different worlds of like home life, tour life. And just because you appreciate the cities and countries and places that you play doesn't mean the other 23 hours of the day isn't hectic and annoying.
That's
and
right.
People are like, you must see everything. I'm like, half the time I don't see shit.
Yeah. Half the time I play a show, I get into the bus, I fall asleep as the sun's going up. I fucking sleep, I wake up, I eat something, I fucking take a crap, and I got to get on stage already.
Yeah. Vicious cycle. But you can say,
but that's the life we chose.
It is. And I love it. I'm not going to, there's
Yeah.
something that I just absolutely love about and appreciate too.
Hey, RS-70, I don't think anybody's going to the Ukraine right now to play. I don't know. I think you have a hard time getting into the Ukraine.
Yeah, I don't know if you could get there. I have played the Ukraine though. We played Kiev in like 2000 and we've been we played a lot of that Eastern stuff. I played Estonia. Yeah, I've done some crazy stuff. I don't know if you could get into Kiev right now.
Let me ask you. I got one for you here. What's going on here?
So,
what's happening?
That's me punishing Bruce Springsteen.
That's me punishing the boss.
The Dropkick, we played one of the Dropkick Murphys like St. Patrick's Day shows. I forget what year it was, maybe 2014
in Boston.
Yeah, they do like the hometown, like they take over the whole weekend of St. Patrick's Day and do a bunch of shows.
Is that the thing they do? Do they do that at the House of Blues? Is that what it is?
Yeah. House of Blues on Lansdowne Street. Yeah. And sometimes other venues they'll do other shows. Like it's a whole thing. So we were fortunate enough to play one of them, like 2014. The night before, I was at a bar because Ken Casey owned a bar in Boston. He doesn't own it anymore. I forget what it's called. Anyways, he showed up there and he's like, "Hey man," and Ken's always been super nice, man. And he was like, "Yo, tomorrow guest list is going to be tight. The boss is there." And I'm like, I thought he meant like the boss of the House of Blues. Like, all right, whatever. Fucking so Bruce Springsteen is in town and did a song with them.
Wow.
Like he had already done a song with them in New Jersey. So he he did Shipping Up to Boston, and they did a Bruce Springsteen song, and I'm a super big Bruce Springsteen fan, so he was there with his son, and I was like, hey man, I'm like about to go on stage and play it. I'm like, we got to grab a picture. And it's funny because he didn't know I was in a band, and his son happened to like Death for Dishonor. So when I take this picture, he's definitely super awkward. And then afterwards, he's complimenting the band. So it's cool.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's one of those like, what? You know,
Yeah.
I thought maybe, like, you know, because there's a lot of like crazy pictures, like, and you know this from playing like these European festivals.
Yeah.
Where it's sort of like Kiss, Biohazard, you know, fun-loving criminals, and the Chili Peppers.
No, you're not wrong. That could be quite possible. Yeah, this was just a Boston show, but yeah, we played plenty of those festivals. Yeah, in Europe where you're playing with, I don't know, whoever. You know what I mean? It's crazy.
Those are fucking awesome, man.
Super cool.
Yeah, when you're like, what?
Right.
Who else is on? Yeah.
Dude,
hey,
wow.
let me take my last sponsor break, and we'll come back and we'll take some questions from around the world. Okay.
Awesome. Cool.
All right. There you have it. This is the New York Hardcore Chronicles Live. Great show today. Our guest is Bryan Harris from Death Before Dishonor. You and me, my friend, are sponsored by New York Hardcore Comics, The Organic Grill, the Texas Silver Rush, DTFM Vinyl Distro, Generation Records, Upstate Records, and 126 Hardcore Clothing. 126 Hardcore Clothing is a streetwear brand for restless individuals who don't compromise. They are about being positive, spontaneous, and true to yourself. For years, they experimented with several printing methods and materials and collaborated with a large number of designers and illustrators, always giving room for fresh perspectives while retaining the hardcore attitude. Get in touch with them. Ramp up your game at www.126clothing.com. Come on now, Upstate Records. They're a New York-based DIY independent metal and hardcore label. Founded in 2017, they broke into the scene with their inaugural 26-band compilation in 2018, and since then they've churned out over 80 releases in their brief 5-year history with such notable artists as Leeway, NYHC, Sub-Zero, Brick by Brick as part of their roster. Upstate Records maintains a focus on upcoming artists as well as such artists as These Streets, Kind Eyes, Bovis, Life of Crime, and many more. In 2023, look for new releases by Mark Rizzo's new band Revenge Beast, Carl from Earth Crisis, Freya, Fury of 5, Angry Corpses, and a few more surprises that are in the work. Check them out at www.upstaterecords.com. I want to mention there is, where is that? Hold on, hold your horses. There is an Upstate Records promo. I got to work this in a little bit better for future shows, but for viewers of this show, there is a coupon code STONE10 at the checkout and save 10% on all orders. Upstate Records has a lot of great stuff. Get on there, buy some shit, get a 10% discount using the code STONE10. Come on now. Help me help you. For Christ's sake. Upstate Records. Want to mention, gotta mention, hey, I'm heading down to South Florida to screen my new film. If you are in the area of Palm Beach, West Palm Beach, Jupiter area, The Jews and the Blues is screening February 11th. It is the closing film, oy vey, of the Palm Beach Jewish Film Festival. Big theater, big event. Tickets are on sale now. If you are in that area, I would love to see you. Come on down. Don't be shy. It's a great film. Also, just a heads up for those, the 10 question series has been revived. There's one coming up this week with our good friend Eugene Hutz from Go Go Bordello. So look out this week for the New York Hardcore Chronicles 10 questions with Eugene Hutz. That's happening this week. You know what? I haven't done this in a while. Let's just say if you're sitting at home and I know I'm probably preaching to the converted here. My new film is out doing the festival circuit, but I have 4 other films that are on Amazon. Who the fuck is that guy? The Fabulous Journey of Michael Alago, the New York Hardcore Chronicles film, All Ages, the Boston Hardcore film, and the New York Hardcore Chronicles film 1.5. They are all on Amazon. Search under my name. If you're looking for something to watch, check it out. Shit I've directed. I think that covers everything. There is if you're watching the show in rerun on YouTube right now, there is a subscribe button right there. Please subscribe to the show. Also, if you are on Instagram, please follow the show and me on Instagram at Stone Films NYC. That said, am I putting it out on DVD? Right now, I don't know. The distributor has it. The new film is doing the festival circuit. Then it's going to end up on probably Amazon or Netflix. I don't know if a DVD is going to happen. Yes, 10 questions are cool. Questions for our guest, Bryan Harris, Death Before Dishonor. Please post your questions. There is also a super chat function. If you'd like to or can contribute to the show, a few bucks, there's a super chat function. That said, let's clear the deck. What the heck? Let's bring our guest back on. Get rid of that ticker. Hey, man.
What's up?
It's like I'm the carnival, like a carnival barker, bro, doing this show.
A lot to
you
be
know?
said.
It's like rah, 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 rah.
For sure.
Just want to make sure. Let me see. I'm just looking at the pictures that you sent me. Hey, this is an interesting bit of history right here. Somebody told me that Axis, the club we mentioned in the beginning, initially was a place called Spit, which is a place that I remember. I actually saw the UK subs in the Anti-Nowhere League at Spit in 1981, and a little bit before that, Black Flag played there. And here's a photo from Black Flag playing Spit. That's Dez singing.
That's wild.
And that was early 1980. So Spit ended up turning into Axis. And then from what I understood, that space and the space behind it, which was the big, I think, 9 Lansdowne space, is now the House of Blues.
Yeah, so it's Avalon and Axis.
Avalon, that's it, right.
Avalon was a bigger venue, and it's now all the House of Blues. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
That's wild, though. I didn't know it was called that before that. That's cool, though.
Okay, so here's a question from our friend and supporter, Pat Baldwin. Brian mentioned Springsteen. Any other non-hardcore ingredients in his musical diet or outside influences?
Oh, yeah, sure. I mean, I listen to a lot of stuff. I mean, I listen to a lot of punk. I mean, I guess that's hardcore. I like a lot of like old school outlaw country.
Nice. Like?
A lot of just classic rock and roll.
What's old school outlaw country, like Waylon Jennings?
Yeah, I love Waylon Jennings
and
Hank
what's his name?
Jr.
Yeah,
Merle Haggard's cool. You know, just a lot of that stuff.
Yeah.
A lot of good driving music in that.
Yeah.
I listen, like, even when I'm driving, I just listen to like classic rock during the day. You know, I like some 80s new wave. I listen to a little bit of everything. I like hip hop.
Good. Gertie asks, what was the first hardcore punk record you got?
I think it was Biohazard Urban Discipline. I'm pretty sure. Because of that video and me being able to buy it at that local Strawberries that was in my town. I'm pretty sure that was the first one.
I worked at the Strawberries in Kenmore Square.
Oh, did you really?
I did. In 1982, I worked at the Strawberries record store in Kenmore Square.
My town, so I lived in Randolph, we had a Strawberry. So aside from getting cool records, they had like the show listings.
Sure.
And they would sell tickets for local venues. So that's also how I would figure out like what I'd be like, oh, I'd see a band that sounded hardcore and I'd see the cover of the tape or whatever, the record, and be like, oh, okay. But yeah.
That's awesome. Lex 2000, one of our latest patrons, and thanks, man. You mentioned hip hop earlier. What are a couple of your favorite records from the 90s?
I'm a big Nas fan. I think Nas is untouchable.
Queens represent.
Mobb Deep is great. I mean, just all that stuff. I was super when I was in the 90s coming up. Before I got into skating, I was super big into hip hop. like Wu-Tang. I like a lot of that,
Sure.
even the
I think
West Coast stuff.
I think a lot of that stuff, it wasn't either or. It was like
Yeah.
we loved. It was like,
For sure.
we loved all that shit.
Yeah. There's something to like listening to a hardcore record and like a true, street hip hop record.
Yeah.
The lyrics hit in some type of way, if that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. Steen in Denmark asks, how did you come up with the name? Like any special story except for the obvious?
Dude, I obviously that's a saying, and as I learned later, that was also a 80s hardcore band. But it was like I was gonna get it tattooed on me, like the saying when I was younger, and I ended up not doing it, and we just needed a band name. We were sitting there, and I was like, we were just throwing out different ideas, and because it was something I was gonna get tattooed, we're like, fuck it, we'll call it Death for Dishonor, and the rest is history.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Our brother Ori Frank from Eternal Struggle, who's actually in India now. He told me he's in India right now. He's in India.
Right.
I guess his girlfriend's playing some shows over there.
Right.
So
Okay.
coming at us from India, where it's like midnight, it's probably 1, 2 in the morning. He says new Death Before Dishonor record. The world is ready for it, but seriously, any plans for a new record?
So we just re-released the
right.
True to Death. Bridge 9 just had a 20th anniversary type silver edition of Count Me In that came out a record.
I saw that.
As well as like a super limited type of Live at CBGB 7-inch that we have. It was on an extended version of Friends Really Forever. Anyways, with all that said, we have been writing a whole bunch of stuff. With B-Roll back in the band and living up here now, we have a bunch of songs. So our plan is Europe in February. We're going to do a rundown of Florida in like April. A couple other things. We go back to Europe in August for festivals. And then hopefully September, October, we will go to record a record.
And
Zeus.
With Zeus?
I hope so. I just sent Zeus some demos last week of what, we've been writing for him to check out. And hopefully if he has time and he's available, we can get back in with him. So that'd be cool.
Does Zeus get involved with sort of the structure of the song structure?
So with this record, he definitely helped a little bit. I know that he's like done that for some bands. He definitely helped a little bit, but he was kind of let us do our thing. Had a couple different inputs here and there. And I shouldn't even lie, I wasn't even there for a lot of it because I had to work. So it was like my drummer Ben and especially Colin, my guitar player, because he lives in Western Mass where Zeus is. And I do know of a couple like changes he suggested, but he kind of let us just do our thing. I remember he's such like now he's so well known, and I was concerned, and he was like, dude, let's just do this raw. And he was fucking awesome.
I've learned to trust my guys. It's just like at this point, I'm not like a recording studio like freak. I know some people just love that shit, and like it like makes me uptight. But I used to force myself to be there. Yep. Now I've learned to sort of like just let me know when it's showtime. I want to come in. I want to do my stuff.
Right.
And then I want to get out. You guys who love doing that stuff, do it. Let me know when there's something I can come in and listen to.
Yeah, I don't disagree. But yeah, hopefully. So yeah, I don't know when it would be out, but we definitely want to get in and record this fall. So
cool. Here's some of these pictures I'm putting up were taken by Steven Messina, who had I guess you guys played the Crazy Donkey a couple of times through the years,
Yeah, we've played Long Island a bunch.
Yeah. Well, this is Jeff from Faded Line. We were supposed to play with Death Before Dishonor in Albany a few years back, canceled due to pandemic. Any plans to come to Albany in the near future?
We just play with Albany with you guys
Yeah, we just played Albany. Where the fuck were you, bro?
But it's funny. Well, that was probably like
wait a second. We just fucking played Albany, and we were on the bill too. Where the fuck were you?
That was a few months ago now at this point, right?
It was a couple months ago.
But
I played in that garage, bro.
So I think we're gonna we got a couple things lined up, and we do for sure want to get back to Albany. So definitely in the spring at some point, we will for sure.
Albany's like an outpost of it's great.
Yeah, we've been going to Albany for years. We got a lot of friends there.
Always.
And yeah, that's right. Lori was at that show. I remember.
Yeah, that was great. It was an interesting venue. It was like
yeah.
It was a giant like concrete parking garage
Yeah.
in a part of Albany that was probably very vibrant in the 70s and 80s when they built it. And now there's no foot traffic. They have this gigantic, concrete parking garage, and they just sort of, I guess they took like the bottom level of it and sort of partitioned it out and made a club of it.
Venue. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can make a hardcore venue anywhere.
This is one from our one of our resident historian, Chucky Brown, from Crazy Eddie. Did they play a club that had caught on fire while the first band was playing?
Yeah.
Did they manage to get their gear out in time? I believe they played later on the same night at another venue.
We played it like 1 a.m. at someone's house. Dude, I forget where we were. I know we were on tour with Stray from the Path and Evergreen Terrace, and I could be wrong. Maybe it was Oklahoma, but I feel like it was Texas. We were playing like a strip mall and had like a pizza place. It was first day of tour. We're sitting in the van, just like, I don't know, talking to like the other bands, just trying to figure out. Like I said, it was like one of the first days of tour. We look behind and someone's like, dude, it smells like there's a fire. And the whole parking lot was just black smoke. And I guess something in the pizza shop caught on fire and it went into the venue. And dude, like literally the fire was coming down the stage.
Oh my God.
Like grab all our gear, and it was first day of tour, so there's merch everywhere. And dude, we luckily got everything out.
Holy shit.
Everybody was fine. No one got hurt. A bunch of dude, the smoke was crazy. It took hours before you get out of the parking lot because the fire department. And then some kids like, you want to just play my living room? So then us and the other bands went to someone's living room and played to I don't know how many people that couldn't fit into the house at 1 a.m. So yeah, hardcore.
Ought to be young. Ought to be young again.
Yeah,
that's great.
That
Darren asks, and this is sort of a little difficult one. Speaking of recording, what is the one studio that you love to record and why?
I mean, that would be easy. Like when I was younger, I was like, I got to record at the Outpost because some of my favorite records record there, right? And then I finally was able to. So I'll just use that because I'm not a big recording guy.
Neither am I. Yeah. I don't give a shit.
So the True Till Death record, I'm pretty sure it's that record. We recorded. It's either that or the demo. There's a recording studio in the South Shore, Hanson, Mass. So wherever we recorded one of these records, I guess Extreme recorded one of their gold hits there. Granted, we have the same producer.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I'll say the Outpost that I recorded there, and now like it was an honor to work with Zeus, and I'd like to go back there. Other than that, I'm just not that guy that knows like, oh, this or that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, me neither. I want to go wherever, whatever sounds good's easy and like my guys are into.
For sure.
And it's not going to, but whatever. Oh, this is a good question. What's your favorite song you like to perform that you're still pumped to do? Are there any favorites in the set list when you get to them and you're like, all right, man, let's do this?
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple just newer ones that I'm really into, just because it's off the newer record.
Yeah, sure.
The song Bad Blood, I think is really fun to play.
Great song, man. Great song.
True Defeat off the new record. So by not putting out a record for 10 years, it's kind of cool to have some new songs to play. But then there's like Born from Misery from Friends Feeling Forever is probably one of my favorite songs. Even though the other day I practiced, I'm like, damn, how many times have I sang this fucking song?
Yeah.
But I do like it. I like the structure of it. So that out of the older catalog, I will definitely say Born from Misery.
I mean, when you sort of tour the way that you do, when you're going into the nooks and crannies of the Columbias or the Polands, I mean, I would think that you want to play some of the stuff. You want to keep it on the older catalog people, right?
Yeah, and especially those places where we've been to a long time ago, and you almost play longer in those markets too, right?
Yeah,
especially if you're headlining. I mean,
that's right.
When we go do this Balkan run and headlining, I'm sure we're going to be playing X amount of songs. You know, we're out with Slapshot, it's a little different. So yeah, we just try to pull out stuff that, you know, older stuff that we haven't played in a while, or, you know, whatever.
Sure. When you headline these like European runs, how long do you play? An hour and a half?
No, we never. They always want to push, you know, being a hardcore band, I'm like a 30, 35-minute special. But, but I also learned, like, over there, like, it's like if you don't play like a longer set, like, you're fucking everything up for the promoter.
That's right.
Like,
that's why I ask. Yeah.
Yeah. So we've learned to, like, we'll play like anywhere from like 45 to an hour. Usually they're cool with us doing it out. Like, I've had the promoters like, you got to play for an hour and a half. I'm like, I think
hour and a half, man. That's like,
we're not a metal band, but I'll push like the 45 to 55 type minutes on a headlining
and
show.
we'll bullshit a little bit in between songs.
Exactly. Stretch something out, but also throw some cool things in there that maybe we don't play. And then, like, if I walk out and they magically want more after 45 and 55 minutes and you want me, then we'll go do another song. You know, we're not above that.
Yeah.
It's also like hardcore, so it's really hard. Like, I feel like you don't want to bore the ever living shit out of someone either. You know what I mean?
Less is more, right?
Always.
That's what we've.
Yep.
Is social media? Is this on social media? If somebody wants to reach out, is it the Death Before Dishonor on Instagram?
That's Death Before Dishonor, but it's usually probably my drummer that does it a lot. I'm Bryan DBD on Instagram, BRYN DBD. But also you can also hit that up too. I check that too. Like, me and my drummer do it both, but
okay, that's probably best. Yeah.
Yeah, but I use mine too as it's all show flyers for the most part.
Yeah, right. I got it. Good. What else? I'm sorry. What is Chris Bryan 121 or Romans? Am I missing something there?
So those are 121 was like, those are both Brockton venues. And I feel like I'll give a minute on this. So, like, Brockton's about half hour, 40 minutes from the city. It's south of Boston. It's a grimy city. But
Brockton is where Marvin Hagler's from, right?
Yep.
And isn't that where Rocky Marciano's from?
Yeah. City of Champions.
Yeah.
So throughout the years, and even back in maybe your day, there was a club called Derringers back in the day, and I know, like, Biohazard had played there.
In Brockton?
In Brockton, yeah. It was a legit venue. They did a lot of thrash there too, like Malaya Rage, Wargasm, whatever. But I know, like, I've seen video of Biohazard playing there years ago. So, and then there was Club 121. That was a rehearsal place that turned into a club when I was in Incision.
Right.
And then Romans was so that was like, you know, that was open from 96 to 99. And mind you, a lot of great shows there, you know. And then Romans was another venue that started popping in 2005. And Chris is from Brockton. He's a very good friend of ours.
So this was sort of part of the early Death Before Dishonor circuit, like Brockton.
Romans was for sure. Romans, Brockton was like home to it. It still is. Like,
Chris says Derringers had Biohazard almost monthly with Monkey Pop.
Yeah,
that makes
Chris
sense.
Has, been around for a long time. Very good friend of ours. But yeah, and he's a Brockton dude. So shout out to Chris for always helping us out and looking out. But yeah, Brockton's a big part. And even now, my boy Colin of Arabia, he does Gatekeeper jams in Brockton, does a lot of shows there. A lot of cool shows. So Brockton is like the sub to Boston.
Makes sense. Are you going to play Jersey anytime soon?
It's been a minute since I played Jersey. So we got a lot of stuff that we're going to start announcing for the spring coming up. We're going to do a run down to Florida, which will include, I don't know if that will be when we play Jersey, but we're going to have some like US dates on top of this to announce for like
the infamous Florida run.
That never happened. We've been trying to do this run to Florida. I keep on getting messed up. So I'm trying, hopefully out. But
Agnostic Front is legendary for their Florida run. You know, it's like, Melbourne, Orlando, they do it up, man.
So we got a bunch of stuff we'll be announcing. So hopefully Jersey soon and a bunch of other spots. So
you know what? I'm going to modify this. Did Death Before Dishonor ever play any cover songs?
Yeah, we played a lot. Like, you know, we first started. I was we covered Fury of 5, we covered Marauder.
Wow, covered Fury of 5.
But that was like beginning stages. We cover Blood for Blood for a bit. We
Sure.
cover and we actually recorded a hidden version of this. We cover England Belongs to Me by Cockspire, but it's Boston Belongs to Me.
I was gonna open the show with that video.
Yeah,
But,
so
but I
it's
went in
weird
a different direction.
we've done that for a while, and people seem to like it.
Yeah. It's a big sing along.
It is a big sing along. It's a phenomenal song. I love Cockspire.
Yeah.
That's where it's funny when people are like, "Oh, they're a beatdown band." I'm like, I'm covering oi bands.
Right.
We also cover Intimidation by the Bruisers on a record, or a record before the record. But that's it. I think it's even on Spotify. So we've covered a few things throughout the years. And Chris obviously mentioned Billy Idol. I think we covered Rebel Yell years ago on a compilation. It was pretty interesting. I don't know if you can find it.
That's we just tried to work up White Wedding.
Yeah.
And I had a hard time singing it.
Yeah, we tune so low. So when I sing these things, because I have a deep voice,
Yeah.
it's the tuning of the band. So
Yeah.
we've always had a weird tuning. So
Do you tune a full step down?
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah. And that's why with the deep voice, and then we cover these songs, it doesn't sound.
Yeah. I struggled with it because we're not tuned that. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, we covered Rebel Yell. We've covered a bunch of stuff a whole bunch of times.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, of course.
I think
yeah. Of course you played with Blood for Blood, right?
Yeah, we did a bunch of stuff. I mean, you showed that picture earlier. We played with them in like 04 at the bomb shelter. Yeah, we played with Blood for Blood quite a bit, but Blood for Blood like came and went through periods. Like whether they broke up or not, they had a lot of downtime. I spent a lot of time on the road at Ramallah. So in like 06, 07, 08, like Ramallah's first tour was a co-headliner with DBD in Europe. We did 2 US tours with Ramallah. So I did more tours with Ramallah, but I've definitely done some stuff with Blood for Blood.
Cool. Well, hey, that was a blast, man.
Cool.
I really enjoyed having you on. I really enjoyed chopping it up with you.
Cool, man. I did too, man. I had fun on this one. It was cool.
Yeah. And I look forward to seeing you guys play. Now that I know all these fucking songs, I can't wait to see you play.
That's rad, man. I appreciate
it. And hopefully we'll play together.
Yeah, for sure. We'll do something again.
We're gearing up. We got a record coming out and doing a video and all that stuff's moving forward. Yeah. Anybody you want to thank or shout out on the way out?
Thank you, of course. Everybody that checked it out, I appreciate it. Shout out to Chris Wren. I know he's lingering somewhere for everything he's done. And anybody that supports us and looks out for us, I truly appreciate it. So that's it.
Cool.
That's all I got.
Well, thanks a lot, Brian. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, brother. Thank you.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye. Well, there you have it. Another great show in the books. Brian Harris, Death Before Dishonor. That was awesome. Yes, great show. Thank you. Steen, absolutely. Yes, good people right there. Yeah, I had a good feeling about it. It was good. I got to say, I said at the beginning of the show, when I'm banging the shows out Sunday, Wednesday, they're just coming fast and furious. But when I have a week to sort of get acclimated for the next guest, really, I was really excited about today's show. Yes, it was nice to hear from him. Thank you, Gertie. Absolutely. What I didn't mention, I didn't get a chance to mention that coming up at we got a couple shows at the Bowery Electric, free all ages matinees. The next one is coming up Sunday, February 12th. India Vid, End of Hope, Incendiary Device. It's going to jump off tonight. Kings Never Die with Danny Schuler on drums, and Shutdown will be playing the Bowery Electric matinee Sunday. Next Sunday matinee in March will be Iconicide, Non-Residents, Fuck It, I Quit, Enziguri, and Two Man Advantage. First New York show in 5 years. That's Sunday, March 5th. And then, of course, the Go Show, first New York show in 12 years, Sunday, April 30th, along with Chucky Brown and Crazy Eddie, Down Low, Crippled Urn, and Chum Huffer. So lots going down. And also, next show coming up a week from today will be Richie Stotts. And I just want to remind everybody that show 250 is Lars Fredrickson, and show 249 is Louis Beto from Carnivore and Agnostic Front. So that said, damn, Jan, you missed it. Yeah, go back and look at it. It was a great show. So that's what's up. Astoria Lou, Sean Brennan, what's up? Get ready, Sean. We're playing the 12th, man. You know, thank you, Lex, and thank you so much for your support. Thanks, everybody. If you're a patron, patron stuff is being posted this week as I'm doing interviews for the New York Hardcore Chronicles Volume 2, 1990 to 1999. The interviews are being posted patron only. Please consider supporting the show on Patreon. Here it is on Patreon. Here it is again. There you go. Support the show that supports you, right? Yes, Sean. Thank you, Lori Dawn. Thank you, everybody. Great show. I'll see you guys soon. Until then, do good things. Please, please, in this crummy ass world we live in. This is very important. Do good things. You will not regret it, and good things will come to you.